Hello, everyone. This is just a quick video blurb about a topic in your textbook that is new to this edition about critical thinking and using data to answer questions. We will look at this in more detail in a later chapter, chapter 5, but just the idea of the kind of process that we could go through to answer questions with information that we might be able to generate in our accounting system. So the process that is on your slide here that I think is important to you remember is what are the relevant questions, okay? So and we need to sometimes drill down to a more fundamental question. So for instance, the question may be, why is our profits down? Okay, but really what we need to do is drill down into what's happening to revenues, what's happening to individual costs, and what's causing those additional costs, that sort of thing, rather than so sometimes we have to break our question into multiple questions in order to have one that is relevant and that can be answered. Then we need to identify the data that is relevant. And the world is awash with data. We have plenty of data. It comes from all kinds of sources. And the question really is this data relevant to what we're trying to answer? And how do I get a hold of the data I can trust? And all kinds of things can cause data to be problematic and can have outliers, which means there's a piece of information that just is by chance way out of the norm, and so it doesn't really tell us an answer to our question. It doesn't help inform our answer. And we have data that could be erroneous, especially if we are gathering it from sources where people might answer even a question where they think they might be correct, but they really don't have the information to answer that question, for instance. So, and we call this constant bombardment of data big data, meaning it's got thousands and thousands and thousands of records. It comes at us very quickly, and today's computers can handle monumental amounts of data, and cheaply, inexpensively. We don't have to delete things off our hard drives anymore because we ran out of room. Literally, room is so easy to come by. We just can keep gathering data, which means we have all kinds of comparisons, all kinds of information going back lots of time in terms of time or different companies, all that sort of thing could be relevant, or it could be not relevant. And again, the question is, just because you have a lot of data doesn't mean that it's good data or relevant data. And then once you have a whole bunch of data, what tools are we going to use? At this level, we're probably mostly talking about using Excel to generate graphs, to generate different charts, to generate ways of looking at data. That has lots of tools in Excel to highlight things that are important. Some of those are illustrated in your textbook. There are lots of other tools. Power BI is a Microsoft tool that kind of feeds off of Excel. You've got Tableau, which is one that we use at the college to visualize data, to look at it in ways and to put together reports and graphs and all that sort of thing. We saw a whole lot of that. This kind of got a whole new meaning when COVID hit, and every state, every city was telling you how many cases, how many people are in the hospital, driving all these graphs. And you saw them using Tableau, Power BI, various tools to create these. Okay, and then there are other tools that require a whole lot of programming languages and things like that that can handle and search through thousands and thousands of records to find data that is relevant, or to find averages or trends, that sort of thing, in the data. Okay, and then once you've got some things that seem to answer your question, then of course what are you going to do to communicate that? Are you going to use those graphs, charts? Are you going to write descriptions? How are you going to make and highlight and help the decision makers, assuming that we're informing those decision makers like we usually do are in managerial accounting, how to make, what decisions to make, and to persuade them to use that data or the trend that you've identified to improve the business.